Princess Zelda is not a girl boss. And people are freaking out on the internet over the new Zelda game that was announced during Nintendo's recent Direct, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. And, I don't know. I'm getting tired of all these shenanigans from, well, one side of the spectrum. Although, gamers are actually to blame for some of this stuff too, because they also have some wrong ideas about Princess Zelda that hopefully this video will help correct. But before we get to that, if you guys could smash that like button, subscribe if you enjoy the content, because we're going to be talking about Princess Zelda. Now, gamers are talking about how they believe that it's not cool that Zelda uses a wand. Why? What is the problem with Zelda using a wand? She is a spellcaster or a wizard or a sorceress, whatever you want to say. She's always had magical abilities more so than Link. She's not a warrior in a sense where she's going to use a sword or a shield or, you know, anything like that. If anything, she would use a bow and arrow because that's kind of her forte. She's used a bow and arrow in previous Zelda games, along with taking down Ganon together with Link in both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. She used the Bow of Light, as well as she usually bestows that bow onto Link. So her using a bow and arrow is not an issue, but apparently her using a wand is kind of a big deal. It's like, really? And no, we won't be talking about the Zelda game that she did use a sword, because we don't speak of that Zelda game, because it's not important. And also, we're not going to bring up the fact that Zelda is a ninja, because only one incarnation of Zelda was a ninja. And I know a lot of people want to bring up Smash Brothers, but let me give you the down low on the Smash Brothers games, okay? In Smash Brothers Melee, both Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf are from Ocarina of Time. That's true. But the skins that they used in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, where Zelda still transformed into Sheik, was just because they wanted to use the Twilight Princess skins, because that was the newer version of Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf. And if you go back and you play that version of the game, you can see the Twilight Princess skins, but also Zelda still incorporates the same abilities that she had in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Now fast forward to later Smash Bros. Games, did Zelda still transform into Sheik? No, she did not. In fact, she incorporated different Zelda designs based on the game that released at that time, which there were many different Zelda games that have come out, so it's 3 in the morning. Don't expect me to remember every different incarnation of Zelda, okay? I'm a little grumpy. But what I can tell you is that Zelda used different magical abilities for her down and B, as opposed to transforming into Sheik. And Sheik became a separate character altogether, which completely null and voids the fact that Zelda is a ninja, or at least that mentality that I've seen on Twitter and on YouTube. And it's kind of embarrassing, guys, that you wouldn't know this simple fact, especially if you are, quote-unquote, a Smash Brothers player. If you were a Smash Brothers player, then you would know that Zelda, in different Smash Brothers games, her down and B summons either a knight, or it has some type of magical properties to it. So, no, she doesn't always transform into a ninja. Also, even though Sheik transformed into a ninja in Ocarina of Time, we hardly got to see Sheik incorporate any type of combat, other than just teaching Link how to, you know, learn a song on his ocarina. I can't really recall any times that Sheik actually helped Link in combat, other than, of course, in the manga. But the manga is technically not canon to the game. And yeah, Sheik did some pretty cool stuff, and a lot of us have wanted a Zelda Ocarina of Time anime for some time, but yeah, that's never going to happen. So, again, the idea of Zelda incorporating wisdom, which is a trait for the character, if you didn't know that, she uses the Triforce of Wisdom because she's very, very smart. Link is very brave, so he would use the Triforce of Courage, which makes him a hero because of his insane amount of courage. Triforce of Power is always used by Ganondorf because power corrupts. So it makes sense that Ganon would use the Triforce of Power. Now, my problem with the new Echoes game is, why does Zelda get a staff from some type of fairy? Why couldn't she have just summoned the staff out of the Triforce of Wisdom? And my problem with the game that I have is not the fact that Zelda is a playable character, because I know a lot of people like to go to that narrative, but where does this game take place in the timeline? You know, I know Nintendo doesn't necessarily care about the Legend of Zelda timeline, but I do. I have a whole book from the Zelda timeline up until Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that just... Why, Nintendo? You had such a good thing going and you decided, you know what? We don't really need a timeline. We're just going to have the timelines somehow converge. How? How do the timelines all converge again when they're 3 separate timelines? But if I had to be a betting man based on the art style of the game, I would say that Echoes takes place in the Fallen timeline, where we had A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening and Oracle of Ages and Seasons, that kind of stuff. I don't really see it happening in any other timeline other than that, because, of course, that's where the signature art style comes in. But no, I don't believe a lot of people saying, oh, this game is essentially Minecraft because Zelda can summon things. I think you people are missing the point of how unique this Zelda game is. No 2-player, okay, is going to be able to solve the puzzles the same way. You'll be able to incorporate thousands of echoes that you'll come across in the game, whether it's enemies or objects that you can use to solve puzzles and beat the game. There's going to be ways that you can cheese this game that yours truly will figure out, just like I cheesed a lot of the puzzles in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You know, I wanted to go through and do puzzles my own way. I didn't want to have to do it the conventional way. So I'm actually very excited about the new Zelda game because I'm going to cheese this game to no end. I'll use bunk beds to climb my way up to a tower, or maybe just spam so many moblins to destroy stuff. Who cares, you know? Figure out some way. But now I want to address the crazy people now that we've talked to the gamers. No, Zelda would not use a sword, okay? And please, for the love of God, stop bringing up those atrocious CDI games, because not only are they not canon, but they're disowned by Nintendo because they were not technically officially licensed games. They were licensed to use on the CDI, the Philips CDI, but Nintendo did not make them, and you can tell because those games are an abomination. And anyone who utters those things are going to somehow cause those games to manifest back into gamers' consciousness, and we don't want that. In fact, we need to be celebrating that Zelda finally has her first ever, yes, I said that, first ever solo game where she is the main protagonist. And also, I really like how they set it up, with Link saving Princess Zelda before he's sucked into the abyss. I thought that was a really nice touch, and also I think that we'll actually get to play Link at the very beginning of the game, kind of in a confrontation that he had with Ganon at the end of A Link to the Past. I think that is a great little setup. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be like, okay, this takes place right at the end of the events of A Link to the Past, because we know better how that game ends, but I definitely think that it takes place in the Fallen timeline, but I could be wrong. But there's no problem with Zelda using a staff. I think that as Nintendo fans, we should applaud what Nintendo did, because in 2024 we got solo games for both Princess Peach and Princess Zelda. And because I'm a Zelda fan, and you know, I'm definitely very biased, I say that the Zelda game is more interesting than Peach playing pretend on stage. The fact that Zelda is literally going to save her own kingdom and save Link is a very cool concept. And I hope that the dark stuff ends up being tied into the Dark or the Golden Realm, or maybe a Link Between Worlds. Who knows? You know, I really want Nintendo to kind of connect the dots, because this whole timeline thing, it's a mess. And they have a chance to fix things before they, you know, make things more confusing for the next game. But yeah, stop the arguments that Zelda's a girl boss and she needs a sword. No, she doesn't. Shut up. She is a spellcaster, aka Supreme Sorceress, that uses the Triforce of Wisdom, so you should be smarter and probably learn that better, because Zelda doesn't necessarily have to be a ninja to be cool. She can be feminine, she can be girly, and she can use her awesome magical abilities to save Hyrule. But anyway, now I want to hear from all of you in the comment section below. Are you guys excited? Are you not excited? Let me know. This is literally the first ever, quote, Legend of Zelda, you know, solo game, so let's support it, okay? Because who knows, maybe we'll get a cool game where we can play as Link and Zelda together in a game that's not a Dynasty Warriors Hyrule Warriors thing. Or maybe Nintendo will bring about a third Hyrule Warriors game and set it during the events of Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know. I do like my Dynasty Warriors Zelda things, but I'm just happy to get another Zelda game personally, and the story intrigues me, and I am going to cheese this game to death that you guys can watch me do it live sometime in September. Alright people, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, share the video with friends, and subscribe if you're new. Later gamers.